everyone. She's volunteering already.
It's actually a question.
Okay, question.
Are you doing a story that is a American African story?
It is actually an African story, which was brought to America by African Americans. How about that? It's called Even Spiders and Ants. And it's a story from Eritrea in Africa, which is a country in the northeastern part of Africa. Now, in this village, there was a family who ruled their village. It's actually a whole country that they were ruling, or a part of the country. And the king and his family were very happy together. They would sing, they would dance, they would have wonderful gatherings of the family. Now the prince, who was just a young boy, would go out and he would play with his other friends in the village, and they would run through the forest, and the prince would keep running into spider webs, and he would get into these spider webs and they'd get all over him. He would pull them off, and he was so unhappy about them. And he would tell his mother, "I hate spiders." And then he would go and he would be trying to sit under a tree, and he would be just resting, relaxing, and flies would keep coming after him. He would have to keep going like this and shooing the flies away because they were always bothering him. He would sit and he would just take a little nap, and suddenly he'd feel a fly and he'd have to wake up and, shoo it away. And so he was just always unhappy. And he would go and tell his mother, "I hate flies." His mother would tell him, even everything that God made has a purpose. And he said, "Well, I know my mother is a very wise woman, but I don't believe that everything God made has a purpose." Well, it just so happened that a few months later, some people came from another kingdom, and they decided they wanted this area where the people lived. And they captured most of the king's family, but the prince got away. Now I'm going to need someone to be a prince for me. Okay, come on. All right. So the prince got away. You hold this. And he said, "What I'll do is I'll run away to my uncle's farm, or my uncle's land, which is far, far away. But I have to go quietly at night as much as I can. And I'll go across rivers, and I'll go through grasslands, and I'll be very quiet so that I can get away from my enemies." And finally, he sat down, and he was just taking a rest because it's very hard to go and travel around about. Now I need someone else to be a fly. Who wants to be a fly? Come on, you be a fly. So the prince was just laying down, and he was just kind of taking it easy, and this fly just kept bothering him. Touch her. And he kept just swishing that fly away. Keep bothering her, keep bothering her. And it was just so horrible. This fly was just so irksome. But finally, okay, go away, fly. The prince opened their eyes and saw their enemies down the road. Suddenly, the prince realized, "I have to get up. I've got to find a place to hide." So the prince ran and found a cave up in the hills. And he climbed inside and went way, way back in the cave until he could be very, very safe. Now, here come the enemies. They come along and they're looking, "Where's that prince? Where's that prince? Because if we don't get him, that prince will come back and start up an army and take over the kingdom again." And they came by where the prince was hidden, and they said, "Oh, don't bother about that. Now I need you to be a spider. Come on. Okay. I want you to come over here, and I want you to make a web out of this. Just spread it around. So, okay. Be a web, okay." He said, "Don't bother about that place, because look, there's a spider web in front of that cave. So that means nobody could have gone in there because they would have disturbed the spider web." Okay, you go back and sit down. So the enemies went right on by. They just went right by, and the prince was still safe in the cave. And the next morning, the prince came out, and what the prince didn't realize, come on, prince, was that a great big spider had come in the middle of the night as soon as the prince went in, and very quickly made that spider web and actually saved the prince's life, because the enemies thought that there was no one in the cave. And so the prince hurried on to his uncle's house, very happy, but still being very quiet at night. But when the prince got to his uncle's house, I need some people to come and celebrate. Come on, we need celebration. Celebration. Celebrate. Okay, come on. One. Celebration. Celebrate. Here you go. Which one you want? Okay, come on, celebrate. Celebration. Who wants to celebrate? And they sang a welcome song to the prince. Bunda Alafia, Ashe, Bunda Alafia, Ashe, Bunda Alafia, Ashe, Bunda Alafia, Ashe, Bunda Alafia, and the prince had arrived safely at his uncle's house and was saved. And his uncle said the same thing his wise mother had said. There is a purpose for everything God made, even the ants and the spiders, or the flies and the spiders, even them. And the prince was saved because of tiny little insects that had been put here on earth. The spiders and the flies. Thank you very much.